This is Magic Talk with Chris Lynch. Joy Reid is the co-founder of the organisation From One Mother to Another. It's a Christchurch organisation doing incredible things, helping mums in need during their most desperate and vulnerable hours. And Joy is with me now. Good morning, it's nice to see you.
Morena.
Tell me about this organisation, how it first came about, because you are a working mum, you've got a busy life, and yet all of a sudden you've still obviously got some small window of time to do this amazing thing.
Yeah, that's right. I actually never set out ever to start a charity, but I guess I fell into it, having had some pretty traumatic experiences myself as a mother, having all three of my kids have spent time in hospital. And so essentially what we do at One Mother to Another is support and encourage and come alongside and connect with other parents and caregivers, particularly mothers who are in hospital with their child, recognizing that the nursing team are doing an amazing job looking after their patient, which is the child, but there's very little support for the parent in that moment, and just recognizing just the grief, I guess, that goes with it and how stressful and difficult it is. And it started, a girlfriend and I together started this charity about 6 years ago, and we both had those hospital experiences, and we just never wanted anyone else to feel as lonely and isolated as we had felt. So we thought, well, what would we have liked in that moment? And so essentially we have started putting together gift bags, which are full of practical items and also some treats, and also some handwritten notes of encouragement. And I actually have one of these with me at the moment. And, you know, they've got all sorts of things in there, and you can kind of see that we also have a handwritten note of encouragement in there, just to kind of just share the love and just basically tell a mother that they're seen, that they're heard, that they're not alone, and that they can do this.
It's such a lovely idea. Talk me through the experiences that you had with your children, particularly in the neonatal unit.
That's right. Yeah, well, I've had 2 out of my 3 kids have spent a period in the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit. And I think probably my first experience was the most traumatic. That was my firstborn, Jonathan. He was a really big baby, and he was full term, so I never expected that he'd be taken off me at birth and having to have some pretty serious medical care. And that really threw me. And I felt like, at the time, I felt like I was a mama bear who'd had her cub ripped away from her. And I say this and with quite emotive language, but he needed to be in the NICU unit. He needed that specialist medical care, and he received fabulous care. So I'm not trying to suggest that he shouldn't have been in that place, but I found at that moment I was really unprepared to be separated from my child. And I found it really difficult to function. I was so scared. I was so alone. I was so overwhelmed by everything. And yeah, that was just a really hard season. And so it was, the One Mother to Another came about a couple of years after that. And I guess you never forget that trauma. You never forget that feeling of being separated from your baby. It's such an unnatural place to be. And we're really lucky. Jonathan made a full recovery. He's a really happy, healthy 8.5-year-old now. But it was really difficult. And I actually ended up back there in NICU last year when my third was born. And I guess it was easier second time round, but easier in the sense that it was probably more familiar, but it still was really difficult. And it was quite amazing, actually, being there last year. I was given one of our own gift bags, which was a really nice touch. And I remember thinking, I need some of the stuff in this, and it was, I knew what was coming for me. But I think the most magical thing about that being in there last year is that I was able to see the moment that our care packages were given to other mothers in that unit. Now, the other mothers, they were only a couple of meters away and there with their children, and they certainly had no idea that I was behind this initiative. And I saw the genuine emotion that receiving a bit of support can have. And I saw and I heard the tears when people were, this one mother in particular I'm thinking of was just like, why would somebody do this? This is the nicest thing. And she was a mother that had to be flown over from the coast to have her baby, and her baby was pretty unwell. And she was all alone. And I saw in that moment the difference that it does make. And I guess it propelled us to keep going. So last year we expanded into some other pediatric wards as well, which are wards I had spent quite a lot of time with Annabelle. my youngest in. We had quite a long journey in and out of hospital last year. And so now we provide 3,500 care packages to mums and carers in 7 wards across 4 South Island hospitals. But to be honest, it's just a drop in the bucket of the need that's out there. And we have big plans to expand. And you've got wards now asking for us to come in and provide the support because they can see the difference it does make.
Isn't that nice, Joy? Because initially this started off as not really a love project, but something quite small and nimble, and now it's turned into almost a full-blown charity, hasn't it? So it continues to expand as you're identifying the need really is there.
Yeah, it's really humbling because it was definitely just a passion project. Christina and I just didn't want other mothers to feel like we had. So we, I guess, racked up a fair few bills on our own credit cards to buy products to put into these care packages. And what's been really amazing along the 6-year journey is to kind of come alongside different companies that have been wanting to donate products to go in the care packages. Much of our volunteer base, we have about 300 volunteer hours go into our organisation every month across about 60 to 70 different people. So it's amazing to see that other people want to partner with us and give us their time or their products or their energy, their finances. And a lot of them are actually past recipients of our care packages. And I think that's what spurs us on, because we get the most amazing feedback. And as I say, it is out of personal experience. We do know what it feels like, but it's nice that it actually is making a difference. And as you say, it's now turning into a full-blown charity. We've just and all the paperwork that goes with that, but it's fabulous. And we're hoping, as I say, to get a bit more traction to kind of keep this initiative going and expand, because unfortunately it's not just a problem here in Christchurch. You know, there are sick children right around the country. There are babies. 1 in 10 children born in New Zealand end up in the neonatal units when they're born. And that's a really huge statistic. When there's 50,000 babies born every year in New Zealand, that's 5,000 mums just in the NICU units. That's not including those that are pediatric wards or kids that, you know, in the cancer wards, and just recognizing that it's really difficult to be in that situation. You know, you might not be the one that's sick, but often bearing in mind the mums, especially in these COVID times, we're finding that the restrictions, you know, the hospital restrictions placed on families mean that families are separated for a really long time, and mothers are having to ask to be put in some really awkward positions that they have to choose whether or not they're spending time in hospital with their baby or whether or not they're going to be at home with their other kids and loved ones at home, but they're not able to mix the two worlds very easily, potentially due to COVID. And it's just a really stressful time right now for so many families.
It must be really nice too, as you say, for the women that are staying in hospital, when they get those packages, they can think somebody actually cares outside of my immediate family. It's nice to know that there's somebody else out there that may have been through a similar experience that I have, and that will just help slightly ease the burden, right?
That's exactly what it is. And that's essentially what our note says, is that, you know, we've sat in your chair. We know how difficult it is, but you've got this. And I got a note even just a few weeks ago from a lady who said, you know, even you could be in a room full of people, but I've never felt so alone. And when I got your care package, I felt for the first time that I was seen. And I think that really summed up what we're trying to do, because it's true. You're in these really busy, full units. The nurses are doing the most amazing job in the, you know, in the situation, but you're not their patient. So they're not there to counsel you and to ask if you're okay. And most of the time you're not, but you just have to hang on, you know, knowing that you need to be strong because your child needs you. And so I guess what we're trying to do is build the whole whānau, and recognizing that if we can come alongside a mother in that moment, that actually their children are going to benefit from that moment, their loved ones, their other children at home. If we can help provide that support, that it actually has a ripple effect far greater than just a care package. And at the end of the day, sometimes you think, oh, it's just a care package. What difference does it make? But as I say, yesterday I got a Facebook message from a lady saying she had one, was given one 4 years ago and still has the note on her fridge. And I think if that made that moment more bearable 4 years ago, that she still wants to remember it, then obviously we're on the right track. And as long as it's making a difference, we'll keep going.
It must be really nice too, Joe. I mean, I've seen some of the personal photos of yourself and even your family members putting together those care packages. It must be nice knowing that even when you're trying to do this in your own spare time, you're doing something that's meaningful, it's for a purpose, and you know it's going to make a difference in someone's life. And nothing actually beats that feeling, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm a big believer that every cloud has a silver lining. And it was a pretty dark cloud, when we were in there in NICU with our kids. But I guess this is the silver lining that it provides. And for me, it's given me a way of writing a chapter 2 to all that trauma. And there's so much of me just wanted to put that whole situation, just black it out as though it never happened. That my introduction to motherhood was not how I expected, and it did have long flow-on effects. But I guess in some ways this has given me the power to write my chapter 2, that doesn't define me, that actually I can turn what was really traumatic into something that actually gives back to others. And I've really appreciated that for my own story. And I love the fact that my kids are so involved that they have to realize that there are others in their community that are struggling. And it's really important for me to teach my children kindness and for them to be actually see it. And so, I get them packing and we do drop-offs together and trying to explain to them that not everybody is living a full and healthy life. And they saw it too. My older two, who are now 8 and 6, they saw how ill Annabelle was when she was born, and they saw all the tubes coming out of her, and they weren't able to visit her. So they know, they have their own experience, and they think, oh, well, we're just doing for someone else what mum felt a year ago.
I haven't met your two eldest, but Annabelle is the cutest, most delightful little girl I've ever met. She's so lovely.
Yeah, she certainly has had a dramatic turnaround, and I think she's going to be one of those world changers with her smile. She's had to fight hard to get there, but we're really lucky to be parents, and we're really lucky that our stories have had a happy ending, and recognise that isn't always the case for others. But just wanting to, I guess, to acknowledge that it is a journey, and you never know what's going on behind the screen. And I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm a mother of 3, but I felt really broken this time a year ago when we were in hospital with Annabelle, and I'd started a charity and to help people in my situation, but yet I felt like the world was getting on top of me. And so it's been really nice, I guess, to see Annabelle recover and also be able to increase our capacity as a charity to feel like that wasn't all for nothing.
Let's talk about increasing that capacity for the charity. I know that in the past when we've done things on the radio with the neonatal unit, and just the number of people that have been affected in a positive way from that unit cannot be underestimated. I was really blown away by people from all different walks of life, obviously, that have had to use the services of Christchurch Public Hospital in the neonatal unit. And so I suppose in that respect, when we were doing like a donation round, it was easier to get donations because so many people had experiences. And I suggest it's probably hopefully the same for you in terms of trying to encourage the community to get behind your charity. So let's give it a decent plug today. If there are businesses or people watching or listening to this today, what kind of things does your charity need, Joy?
Well, I guess we need everything. First of all, we need support, and that can be from helping us write our personal handwritten notes to doing some knitting to go in our care packages, to donating pens, to donating chocolates, to donating anything that could go and that would be suitable for us to put in our care packages, but also finances. I mean, it's a bit boring, but there are a lot of costs that are associated with running a charity. And so we have abilities for people to come alongside us and partner with us financially on our website and also as a regular donor. But even just getting the word out there and supporting, if people are hearing this and they know someone who's got a child in hospital, make them a meal, just come alongside someone and just promoting, I guess, the idea that our community is there to look after our community. And as I say, 1 in 10 children end up in the NICU units, but we don't just support that, we support those that are in the pediatric units as well. And you just, especially with RSV that went through our community last year with the viruses and stuff, and the viruses that are coming through our community now, you just never know when your next door neighbour is going to end up thinking that they're going to a doctor's checkup and end up in hospital for a week, which was our story with our middle child, Stella. And Yeah, our website, www.onemothertoanother.org.nz. You can go on there, you can find out about our story, but share our story with anyone else. And we'd love to hear from you if you'd love to be involved in any way.
Just finally, Joy, how do you get the time to do all this? Because you work as a reporter, you've got 3 kids, husband you probably have to look after as well, and you've got this charity. And I always think to myself, I mean, I don't have kids. I think, well, how do you do it? What is your secret? No, seriously, how do you find time to do all this? Because I think to myself, I've got no excuses to say that I'm busy.
I think if you believe in something strongly enough, you make the time. And I guess that is for us. I do probably about 20, 25 hours of voluntary work with One Mother to Another a week. And I fit it in before the kids wake up, after the kids go to bed, on days off, just wherever I can. But I think I just so strongly believe in making and doing what I can to help, knowing how vulnerable that moment is, that I guess that just keeps me going.
Yeah.
I find the time.
Good. Nicely said. Joy Reid, really nice to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening to our story.